everybody, it's Karen from Scrappy Canuck Studios, and I'm here today for May Arts Ribbon to share with you a little tutorial on taking some of this really cool netted ribbon and adding some sparkle to it. So let me just pick this up so you can see. What I've done is I've just taken the netted ribbon and I've used some orange glass beads just to add a little more texture and a little more sparkle to the candle. I found this netted ribbon doing a Halloween search on the May Arts website, and I thought it was perfect with the orange version for some Halloween decor. And you could wrap this around a vase or a candle or all sorts of different things. So let's get started. I'll show you the materials that you'll need just to add these little glass beads onto the netted ribbon. All right, so let's talk about what you need. The first thing are some glass beads. I picked these up at my local craft store. They're quite small. Pick a color that's going to work for the decor that you are decorating. I went with orange just because of our Halloween theme. You'll need some scissors and you'll need some thread. For the orange trim that I was working with, I actually picked this red thread to go with it. And the reason is that this particular ribbon, the netted ribbon, when you're sewing on it, it's really easy to lose track of where your thread is because it has all these little threads itself. So I found that by using a slightly different color thread when I was working with it, it was easier for me to keep track of where my own thread was that I was using to put the beads on. On this black one, I ended up using this thread, which was just a dark brown. Yeah, so, and again, you can't even really see it in here. You end up trimming it down quite a bit, but it just makes it a little bit easier to work with. You need something to wrap the ribbon around. I'm just using pillar candles. You could use a gift bag or a vase or anything else that you'd like to add some texture to. And then I love tulle. I use it on a lot of my projects right now. So I picked up the black one and the orange one. I just thought the gauzy texture was perfect for Halloween. Yeah, so then we're set to go. So you've got your thread, you've got your scissors, you've got your needle, some glass beads, your ribbon, your trim, and then of course something to wrap it around. Okay, so let's get into the fun part, which is the actual sewing. And I promise this is really painless, even if you're not someone who hand sews. So the first thing you do is grab your pillar candle or whatever you're going to be wrapping your trim around, and just wrap it around. Give yourself about a 1/2 inch overlap so that you can adhere it onto whatever it is that you are going to be putting your trim around, and then just snip it off and you're set to go. I've pre-trimmed this one, but you know the process would be exactly the same. So just wrap it around and then trim it. And then what you need to do is decide which is your front side. It doesn't matter with this trim, both sides are identical, but you want to make sure that you're paying attention to which side is your front side, because that's the side that your beads are actually going to stick up on. And if you lose track of that, it's just going to become a little bit confusing as you go on. So just decide what is going to be your front side, and then just kind of decide where you're going to put your ribbon or your beads. Sorry, not too close together. Give yourself a little bit of space in between them. You could run them along the top edge or the bottom edge. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to go with them just kind of spread out randomly. The one thing I did want to show you is that there's these little bundles of threads where on this trim the threads all come together. That's where you want to be putting your beads. So right here you can kind of see all of these lines coming together. Any of those would make perfect spots to add your beads. You don't want to be adding them in, trying to add them in between the holes or the spaces. It's just going to become too complicated in terms of adhering it without seeing the thread. So when you're working, you're going to be coming from the bottom up through the thread, up through the ribbon, sorry, not through the thread. So like this, we'll just turn it to the side so you can see. So we're always coming from the bottom and coming up through the top. And again, you're trying to find one of those spots where the threads all come together. So I think I'll kind of go right here with mine. There's a nice bundle of thread there. And we'll just poke the needle right up. You can see how it's holding on for itself. That's how I know it caught some of the thread in the ribbon, and we'll leave a little bit of a tail here, an inch and a half. Just going to put one of the little glass beads right onto my needle, and then I'm just going to push it down. You don't need to worry about pushing it all the way down to the trim, because as you push the needle and thread back through the trim, it will lodge itself right against the trim. So we'll just go right back in, right beside where the thread actually came up, and then just push right down through. You can notice with this trim, because of the raw edge here, the rough edge, sometimes your thread will get caught. So, you know, just be careful when you're pulling that you don't pull too fast or everything will kind of gather up on you. See, just like that. So you just need to kind of tug back and you're all set to go. Now I'm going to come back up through the same spot just to make sure that my bead is really anchored onto the trim. And I'm going to go through the bead right here, and then I'm going to go right back down through the trim again. So right back down through the ribbon. That just really makes sure that this bead is going to stay in place for as long as I need my project out on my mantelpiece. Okay, so now I have some big clunky fingers, so tying little knots is a little difficult for me sometimes. So I'm going to take the thread, the short end, in my right hand. I'm going to wrap it around the long thread and then just pull. Again, I've got this little thread, and then I'm just wrapping it around the big thread and pulling just like this. Hopefully your hands are a little more dainty than mine, and this won't be nearly as difficult for you as it is for me sometimes. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my scissors, just trim off the red ribbon here. And I'll just hold this up so that you can see kind of what's going on here. We've got this little bit of thread left over. That's just from what I just snipped off. And I'm just going to trim that a little closer. Don't go too close, otherwise your knot is going to unravel. But remember, we picked a color that was close to our trim, so you won't even see it, even if there's these little ends kind of sticking out. Once they're laying flat against your candle or vase, you won't even see them. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do it just one more time. I would continue this all the way across the trim, but I'll just show it to you one more time just so that I know you're comfortable with the process. Oh, of course, I just pulled my thread out, so let me just rethread my needle here. Perfect, there we go. Okay, and so this is, I think, the next spot for me. So I had, last one was further up to the top, so I'll do this one a little closer to the bottom. And again, we're coming up from the back through the ribbon, just like this, giving myself a little tail to work with on the end to tie a knot with. I'm going to put one of these glass beads onto my needle, and then I'm going to go down through the ribbon right beside where I originally came up, just like that. And then we'll come back up like this, and then through the bead, and then right back down through the trim again. We'll just flip this over again, and we'll tie a little knot here. I seem to have pulled my thread pretty short, so I'm just going to kind of fumble here and tie a little knot just by taking my needle and just running it through, holding the little tiny piece in place, and then using my needle just to kind of create a loop and come. The best part about this is as you do more of these, this will get so much easier and so much faster as the more beads that you get onto your ribbon. And you'll find all sorts of tricks so that you don't have to start over even if you lose your ends of your thread. Okay, so then from there, all you would do is wrap it around whatever it is that you are adding the ribbon to. And then I thought it would be really fun to take some of the tulle and use that to create a little bow to add on. And I know that bows probably aren't very Halloweenish, but I just love the texture and the gauzy look of the tulle. And I'm kind of a cutesy kind of Halloween person, so I like the cute Halloween decorations. So I would just take this particular bow that I've tied out of the tulle and just adhere it like this. So you can see there would be the black, and we'd be all set to go. So I'm going to get these attached. I'm going to fiddle with the bow a little bit, and then I'm going to show you what the finished project looks like. So there you have it, a little bit of an embellishment technique that you can use on lots of different types of ribbons and trims, and especially this awesome one from May Arts Ribbon. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope this little tutorial will inspire you to add a little bit of sparkle to your Halloween decor this season. Don't forget to stop by www.mayarts.com for all of our great ribbon.